When I was 17, my family moved 2 states away without telling me. They left a note that said, "You'll figure it out." 12 years later, after I finally made it without them, they reached out trying to reconnect. I don't even know where to start with this. I'm sitting here at 3 a.m., staring at my phone, and I can't stop shaking. My hands are trembling so badly I can barely type this, but I need to get it out. I need anyone, to tell me I'm not losing my mind. 12 years ago, when I was 17 years old, I came home from my shift at the grocery store to find my house empty. Not just empty like everyone was out running errands. Empty like a shell, like a carcass picked clean. The furniture was gone. The pictures on the walls were gone. My mom's collection of ceramic chickens that she'd spent 15 years building, gone. My dad's recliner that he'd sat in every single night watching the game, gone. My little brother's gaming setup, gone. I stood in the doorway with my backpack still on, grocery store vest still smelling like produced mist and floor cleaner, and I couldn't process what I was seeing. My brain kept trying to make it make sense. There must be an explanation. They're remodeling. No, that's stupid. Someone robbed us. But who takes everything? Did something happen? I walked through every room. My parents' bedroom empty. My brother's room empty. The bathroom still had toilet paper on the holder, but the shower curtain was gone. The medicine cabinet was cleaned out. Then I got to my room. My room was untouched. My bed, my desk, my clothes, my books, everything exactly where I'd left it that morning. Like a museum exhibit. Like a shrine to someone who no longer existed in their lives. On my desk, there was a note. College-ruled paper torn from a spiral notebook, folded once. My mom's handwriting. "We're moving to Arizona. Your father got a job opportunity he couldn't pass up. We needed a fresh start as a family. You're almost 18 anyway. You'll figure it out. Don't try to contact us. We need this time to rebuild. There's $300 in the envelope. Good luck." I read it 7 times before it started to feel like real words. I found the envelope taped under the note. $300 in 20s. That was it. That was all I got. 17 years of being their daughter, and I got a note that could have been a post-it and $300. I need you to understand something about my family. We weren't close, but we weren't distant either. We were just normal, unremarkably, mundanely normal. My dad worked in insurance. My mom was a part-time dental hygienist. My brother Jake was 13 and obsessed with Minecraft. We had dinner together most nights. We went to my grandma's for Thanksgiving. I had a curfew and chores and got grounded when I stayed out too late. There were no signs. No massive fights, no abuse, no drama. Nothing that would make you think, yeah, these people are definitely going to abandon their teenager. Sure, I wasn't the perfect kid. I'd gotten into some trouble my sophomore year, skipping class, smoking weed behind the gym, hanging out with friends my parents didn't approve of. But I'd gotten my act together. I was working. I was passing all my classes. I was planning to go to community college. I wasn't a burden. I wasn't a problem. I was just their asterisk. And apparently, that was enough of a reason to leave me behind. The first night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my bed, holding that note, waiting for them to come back. Waiting for my dad to pull into the driveway and tell me it was all a mistake, or a test, or a really fucked-up prank. They'll come back, I kept thinking. This is insane. People don't do this. They'll come back by morning. They didn't come back. The second day, I called my mom's cell phone 63 times. It went straight to voicemail every time. I texted her. I texted my dad. I even texted my little brother, but his number was disconnected. I called my grandma. She lived 3 hours away, and we saw her maybe twice a year, but she was the only family I could think of. "Grandma, it's me. Did Mom or Dad say anything to you about moving?" There was a long pause, too long. "Oh, honey," she said, and her voice had that pitying tone that made my stomach drop. "Your mother called me last week. She said they were moving and that you'd decided to stay behind. She said you wanted to be independent." "What asterisk no, Grandma, I didn't. I came home and they were gone. They didn't tell me anything." Another pause. "Are you sure? Your mother was very clear. She said you two had talked about it. And that's when I realized they'd lied. They'd covered their tracks. They'd told people a version of the story where I was the one who chose this. Grandma, I'm 17. I'm still in high school. They left me here with $300 and a note. Well, maybe you misunderstood each other. You know how your mother gets stressed. I'm sure if you call her. She won't answer. Give her some time, sweetheart. She'll come around. She didn't. None of them did. The rent was paid through the end of the month. After that, I had 30 days before the landlord would start eviction proceedings. I had $300, a part-time job at the grocery store that paid $8.50 an hour, and a senior year of high school to finish. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not my friends, not my teachers, not my manager. I was terrified that if anyone found out, I'd get shoved into the foster system or shipped off to some group home. I'd heard horror stories. And the thought of being in a stranger's house, being that kid, the charity case, the abandoned one, I couldn't do it. So I lied. I told everyone my parents were visiting family out of state and that I was staying behind to work. When people asked when they'd be back, I'd shrug and say, "Not sure yet. You know how it is." I rationed that $300 like it was the last food on earth. Ramen, eggs, rice, peanut butter. I learned to steal food from the grocery store, stuff that wouldn't be noticed, day-old bread marked for disposal, dented cans, things the manager said we could take home. I lost 15 pounds in 2 months. I picked up a second job bussing tables at a diner, then a third job cleaning office buildings at night. I was working 60 hours a week and going to school full-time. I slept 4 hours a night if I was lucky. My grades tanked. I fell asleep in class constantly. My friends stopped inviting me places because I was always too tired or too busy. I became invisible, a ghost. The eviction notice came on a Tuesday. I'd managed to scrape together enough for 1 month's rent, but I couldn't do 2. I was out. I spent 3 nights sleeping in my car, a 1998 Honda Civic with a broken heater and a passenger door that didn't lock. It was November. I'd wake up with frost on the inside of the windows, and my fingers so numb I couldn't grip my toothbrush. On the 4th night, I broke down. I sat in that freezing car in the grocery store parking lot, and I cried so hard I thought I was going to pass out. I cried for my parents. I cried for my brother. I cried for the life I'd had, the stupid, boring, normal life that I'd never appreciated. "You'll figure it out," the note had said. "Fuck you," I whispered into the dark. "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." I figured it out. A guy I worked with at the diner, Carlos, noticed I looked like hell. He asked if I was okay, and I lied, but he didn't believe me. He pushed, gently, until I finally told him I'd been sleeping in my car. He didn't ask why, he didn't pry. He just said, "I've got a couch. It's not much, but it's warm. You can crash there until you get back on your feet." Carlos saved my life. I'm not being dramatic, he saved my life. He was 24, working 2 jobs himself, barely scraping by, and he let a desperate 17-year-old girl sleep on his couch for 3 months. He didn't ask for rent. He didn't ask for anything. "Just pay it forward someday," he said. I lived on that couch through the winter. I finished high school barely, but I finished. I kept working my 3 jobs. I saved every penny. By the time I turned 18, I had $1,400 saved. I rented a room in a house with 4 other people, 1 bathroom, and a landlord who didn't ask questions as long as you paid on time. I kept working. I kept saving. People talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps like it's some noble thing. Like it's empowering. Let me tell you, it's not. It's fucking brutal. It's soul-crushing. It's working yourself to the bone and still falling short. It's choosing between gas, money, and dinner. It's shoplifting tampons because you can't afford them and you're too ashamed to ask for help. It's being 19 years old and filling out FAFSA forms and having to explain to the financial aid office that no, your parents aren't contributing, and no, you don't have their tax information, and no, they're not dead, they just asterisk left. It's watching your friends go off to college while you're changing adult diapers at a nursing home for $11 an hour. It's spending every holiday alone because you don't have anywhere to go and everyone else is with their families. The families who didn't abandon them. But I survived. I don't know how, but I did. When I was 21, I started taking night classes at community college, business administration. I didn't have a plan, really. I just knew I needed something more than dead-end jobs. I was good at it, really good. Numbers made sense to me in a way nothing else did. I started tutoring other students for extra cash. One of my professors noticed and connected me with a local CPA who needed help during tax season. That turned into a full-time job, then a better job, then another one. By 25, I was working as a financial consultant. By 27, I'd saved enough to start my own business, a financial planning firm focused on helping low-income and working-class people navigate taxes, debt, budgeting, all the shit I'd had to teach myself the hard way. It took off. People needed it. People like me, people who'd been left behind or had never been taught how money works. I hired people who'd been through the system, people with gaps in their resumes and messy histories. I paid them well. I treated them like human beings. By the time I turned 29, I had 3 offices, 20 employees, and contracts with nonprofits and community organizations across 2 states. I'd made it. Against every odd, against all the fucking odds, I'd made it. I hadn't thought about my family in years. That's a lie. I thought about them every day, but I'd learned to compartmentalize. I'd built a life where they didn't exist, where I didn't have parents or a brother, where I was self-made, independent, whole. I'd tried to find them once. When I was 22, I'd hired a private investigator. He found them in 3 days. They were living in a suburb of Phoenix. My dad was working for a tech company. My mom was a stay-at-home mom again. Jake was in high school, playing varsity baseball. They just moved on, built a new life, like I'd never existed. The pie asked if I wanted their address, their phone numbers. I said no. What was the point? They'd made their choice, I'd make mine. 3 weeks ago, I got a Facebook message. I don't use Facebook much. I have a professional page for the business, but my personal account is basically abandoned. But I got a notification, and when I checked it, my heart stopped. It was from my mom. Hi, sweetie. I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I saw your business online. Congratulations. You've done so well for yourself. I always knew you were special. I'd love to catch up if you're open to it. We miss you. Love, Mom. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. We miss you. We miss you. I didn't respond. I closed the app and tried to pretend it hadn't happened. 2 days later, she sent another one. I know it's been a long time and I'm sure you have questions. We'd really like to talk. Your brother asks about you. He'd love to hear from you. Then my dad sent me a friend request. Then my brother. I blocked all of them. I thought that would be the end of it. Last week, my assistant buzzed me. There's a woman here to see you. She says she's your mother. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. Tell her I'm not available. She said she'll wait. I sat at my desk, staring at the door, my hands clenched into fists. I could leave through the back. I could call security. I could. No. I'd spent 12 years running from this. I was done running. Send her in. She looked older. That was the first thing I noticed. She'd cut her hair shorter, and there were lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. She was wearing a floral blouse and khaki pants, and she smiled when she saw me. This big, warm, familiar smile, like we were old friends meeting for lunch. Oh, honey, she said, and her voice cracked. Look at you, you're so grown up. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I just stared at her. What do you want? Her smile faltered. I wanted to see you, to talk. It's been so long, and What do you want? She sat down in the chair across from my desk, uninvited. She folded her hands in her lap, and I could see them trembling. Your father and we've been talking about you, about what happened. We know we made mistakes. Mistakes? We were in a bad place back then. Your father was under so much pressure, and I was struggling with depression, and we weren't thinking clearly. We thought we were doing what was best for everyone. I laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. Best for everyone. Right. And leaving your 17-year-old daughter behind with $300 and a note was best for everyone. You were almost 18. I was 17. I was a child. You were always so independent, so capable. We knew you'd be okay. You knew. My voice was rising, and I didn't care. You didn't know anything. You didn't know that I slept in my car. You didn't know that I ate food out of dumpsters. You didn't know that I worked 3 jobs just to keep a roof over my head. You didn't know that I spent every night for a year wondering what I did wrong, why I wasn't worth taking with you. She was crying now. We thought about you every day. We wanted to reach out, but we didn't know how. We were ashamed. Good, you should be. Please, she said, and her voice was desperate. Please just give us a chance. We want to be a family again. Your brother, he's graduating next year. He wants you there. Your father and I, we want to make this right. And there it was, the real reason. How much do you need? She blinked. What? Money. That's why you're here, isn't it? You saw that I have a business, that I'm doing well, and you thought you'd cash in. How much? No, it's not. How much? She looked down at her hands. Your father lost his job 6 months ago. We've been struggling. We're behind on the mortgage, and Jake's college fund is gone, and we need help. Just until we get back on our feet. We're family. Family helps each other. I'd wondered, over the years, how I'd feel if this moment ever came. I'd imagined anger, rage, maybe even violence. I'd imagined screaming at them, telling them everything they'd put me through. But sitting there, looking at this woman who'd given birth to me and then thrown me away like garbage, I didn't feel anger. I felt nothing. Get out. Honey, please. Get out. You don't get to call me honey. You don't get to call me family. You made your choice 12 years ago. Now I'm making mine. We made a mistake. People make mistakes. Mistakes. I stood up. Forgetting to pick me up from practice is a mistake. Missing my birthday is a mistake. Abandoning your child and not contacting her for 12 years isn't a mistake. It's a choice. You chose to leave me. You chose not to call. You chose not to check if I was okay, if I was alive, if I was homeless. You chose that every single day for 12 years. And now you're choosing to show up because you need something from me. It wasn't like that. Yes, it was exactly like that. And you know what the worst part is? You didn't even have the decency to lie about it. You came in here with your sob story about Dad's job and Jake's college fund, and you actually thought I'd help you. You actually thought that after everything you did, I'd just hand over money like nothing happened. She was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We never should have. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it didn't work out the way you wanted. You're sorry I'm not falling all over myself to have my mommy back in my life. You're sorry because you need something and I'm not giving it to you. I walked to the door and opened it. Leave. Don't contact me again. Not you, not Dad, not Jake. You wanted a fresh start without me? Congratulations, you got it. Now I'm having a fresh start without you. She stood up, wiping her face with shaking hands. You're really going to do this. You're going to turn your back on your own family. I met her eyes and I saw it, the entitlement, the audacity. She genuinely believed she was the victim here. No, I said quietly. You did that 12 years ago. I'm just returning the favor. She left. I closed the door behind her and stood there, staring at nothing. My assistant knocked softly. Are you okay? Yeah, I said. I'm okay. And I was. That was a week ago. I haven't heard from them since. I keep waiting to feel something, guilt, regret, even satisfaction. But I don't. I just feel tired. I think about that 17-year-old girl sometimes. The one who came home to an empty house and a note. The one who thought she wasn't good enough, wasn't worth keeping. The one who spent years trying to figure out what she'd done wrong. I wish I could go back and tell her that she didn't do anything wrong. That it was never about her. That she was going to survive this, and more than survive, she was going to thrive. I wish I could tell her that 12 years later, she'd be sitting in an office with her name on the door, running a business that helps people like her, people who got left behind. I wish I could tell her that she'd build her own family, not the one she was born into, but the one she'd choose. Carlos, who's now my CFO and one of my closest friends. The employees who have become like siblings. The community I've built from scratch. I wish I could tell her that the people who left her didn't win, that their abandonment didn't define her. But mostly, I wish I could tell her that it's okay to let them go, that you don't owe anything to people who gave you nothing, that blood doesn't mean shit if there's no love behind it. That sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is close the door on people who only know how to take. I don't know if I'll ever fully heal from what they did. I don't know if those scars ever really go away. Some nights I still wake up in a panic, thinking I'm back in that car, back in that empty house. But I'm not. I'm here, I made it. And that note, the one that said, "You'll figure it out." I did. I figured it out. Just not in the way they thought I would. Not for them. For me. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. I don't really know what I'm looking for here. Validation, maybe? Permission to not feel guilty? I don't know. I just needed to get this out. I needed someone to know that this happened, that I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. They don't get to come back. They don't get to rewrite history. They don't get to pretend those 12 years didn't happen. I'm done being their afterthought. I'm done being anyone's second choice. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing myself. And it feels like freedom. Edit, holy shit, I didn't expect this to blow up like this. I'm trying to read all the comments, but there are so many. Thank you to everyone who shared their stories. It helps to know I'm not alone. A few people have asked about Carlos. Yes, he's still in my life. He's literally sitting across from me right now eating takeout and telling me to log off Reddit. He says hi. Someone asked if I regret not taking their money and then cutting them off. Honestly, no, I don't want anything from them. Not their money, not their apology, nothing. I built this life with my own hands, and I'm not letting them taint it. And to the person who said I should forgive them because family is family, respectfully, fuck off. Family is what you make it, and they made their choice a long time ago. I'm going to be okay. I already am okay. Thank you all again, really.